Not to pat myself on the back too hard here, but I warned you that social media censorship would always, always, always be flipped back on the left, and one could even argue that that's the primary goal of social media censorship, is you want to go after the anti-establishment voices who question the status quo, and who really questions the status quo? The left. The left. The right, even though, you know, there's different ideological strains on the right, many of them are power-serving fundamentally. So it's not as big of a threat to the powers that be compared to the left. So here we go. Everybody's been asking for it, and now here it is. Violent memes and messages surging on far-left social media, a new report finds. Such images have increased, raising once again whether social media companies can keep up with threats on their platforms. So, look at the framing. Look at the framing. Oh, can the companies keep up with the threats? Well, gosh, I know they're doing something. Maybe they should do more. They should do a lot more to really get this under control. This is getting out of hand. This is dangerous. They better act. See, this has been happening nonstop in the media. They prod Facebook. They prod Twitter. They prod every social media company that's a decent-sized platform. They want them to do a little more censorship, do a little more deplatforming, make it a little more safe. And the end goal, what's the end goal? Always, especially in the case of YouTube. Oh, you guys have a problem with this fringe content. What if I wrote 1,000 articles about that and tried to get advertisers to run away from you? Oh, look, the advertisers are running away from you? Well, maybe you can prioritize our content and then the advertisers would come back. And that's what happens. They shove CNN down your throat. They shove MSNBC and Fox down your throat. ABC, CBS, the nightly news, all the safe mainstream media options. The stuff you ran away from to go to the internet because it's interesting and free, now the old guard is elbowing their way back in the room, and you guys have experienced it. I've heard from a million of you this story. Like, yeah, I'd sit there, all I do is watch you and like 2 or 3 other lefty commentators, and I put it on autoplay and I hop in the shower, and it always goes from you to a mainstream media video. You to a mainstream media video. Always. Listen, you're lucky if you get any recommended videos of secular talk. Now, some people who've been watching the show for a long time, they will keep getting the recommendeds of me. You want to know something crazy? We know, as a matter of fact, they try to bury it for new people. So my stuff doesn't... If you're already part of the club, yes, you might get some recommendeds of me. New people almost never see recommendeds of secular talk, ever. Which is why the rate of growth of this channel has slowed colossally. There's definitely a hierarchy of that the algorithm has, and some channels are recommended more than others. So, you know, David Pakman and I have always had a very similar sized channel. Now he just hit 1 million subscribers. By the way, congratulations to him for doing that. That's awesome. I'm really happy for him, and he's a nice guy. We were always neck and neck, and then boom, he took off and went way by me. Why? Well, one of the reasons is the algorithm hates me. I'm not exactly... It's not that he's safe, but it's definitely that I'm more obnoxious and louder and curse more and say things that are edgier. And yeah, so the algorithm's not going to like me. And this is... The same thing is screaming off the page when you read this article. So let me give you some more of what they say here. Comments using anti-police slogans surged nearly 300% on Reddit and more than 1,000% on Twitter during the unrest triggered by the killing of George Floyd in May, according to the report. It also described the growth of left-wing networks on Facebook, such as such groups as Redneck Revolt and the Socialist Rifle Association, boasting 50,000 and 40,000 members, respectively. Numbers that still pale in comparison to right-wing communities online. Quote, "We don't know enough about it to know just how dangerous it is, and we don't know enough to know how dangerous it can become," said Joel Finkelstein, a co-author of the report and executive director of the Network Contagion Research Institute based in New Jersey. Its funders include George Soros' Open Society Foundations, as well as the Charles Koch Foundation. So I love it when they do this. There's these like AstroTurf groups that fund studies that are like, oh, the fringes are so bad, we should do something to stop them. And mainstream media goes with it all the time because they benefit from this as well. Now, in this case, they're just talking about far left. Now, they go on in the article to stress, hey, far right is more violent and deadly according to every study, but there's this rising thing on the far left, and we might want to look out for that, and you might want to be careful, and you might want to consider also, here's the implication, you might want to consider treating these kinds of lefties the same as you would treat white supremacists. So, like, for people who do ACAB, all cops are bastards, like, if you've ever tweeted that or said that on Facebook or whatever, they're coming for you. And they gave the names of some of the group, Redneck Revolt and Socialist Rifle Association. They brought up, oh, people are more likely to endorse property damage, property violence, if they've said things like, we should seize the means of production. Do you see where this is going? And this is why I was screaming every step of the way at the left, stop cheering for censorship and deplatforming of people on the right, because you think all your opinions are correct, but there's a lot of people who think you're crazy and who would ban you in a second. And so if you self-describe as a socialist or you self-describe as a communist, God forbid you self-describe as a tanky. If you've ever tweeted something like, all cops are bad, you know, if you've ever talked about seizing the means of production, like, of course they're going to come after you. How did you not see that from the beginning? It kind of drove me crazy when you would see these left-wingers who were like, censor that person, deplatform that person, oh, that goes too far, oh yeah, sure, we should totally give Facebook and Twitter the ability and the right to pull down whatever the hell they want for any reason whatsoever. It's totally great that mainstream media is teaming up, you know, with all these social media platforms to do fact-checking and whatnot. No, it's not. It's terrible. Yes, there's a lot of bad right-wing actors out there, and there's a lot of genuinely dangerous beliefs. There's a lot of people who think what you believe is dangerous too. There is. There's plenty of people who listen to you and be like, you're crazy. You should be banned. You should be deplatformed. You should be censored. So, you know, at some point down the line, will they ban certain hashtags associated with the left? Probably. They'll ban them for the right. They'll ban them for the left. If you're a prominent left-wing leader, but you don't fit it neatly into the box of the approved, you know, ideological constraints, look out. You're in trouble. And so we all knew this day was coming. They're doing the whole, oh, the far left is really bad too and really dangerous too, just like the far right. Hey, something should probably be done about this on social media, don't you think? When you read this article, that's your takeaway. That's what it's supposed to be. Damn, something should be done about that. And then let's sanitize everything in sight. Sanitize everything in sight and have no more free speech anymore. Let's make the world CNN. Because that's what they want to do. That's what social media companies want. Everything that happens on their site. They want no scandals ever. And no scandals means what? Everybody's saying boring stuff 24/7. And there are plenty of people who embraced this in principle when they were cool with banning right-wing people for saying messed up stuff, having messed up beliefs. But chickens are coming home in a roost. Don't say I didn't warn you. I was one of the first people to tell you at the very beginning. Look out. And, you know, they always come after the left. Of course, look at Russiagate. They always, always, always flip it back on the left. They just accuse, like, Jacobin and some left-wing magazines, Current Affairs. Like, Russia tried to infiltrate them. No, they didn't. There was like one email that they tried to get some story run, and they were like, no, we are not going to run it. And they wrote articles about it, like, Russia infiltrating the left, They always wanted to ban and deplatform people who question the status quo. So if you do that, careful what you wish for.